Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. Pretty much every card on our list this week is up due to new Commander Legends deck tech. We have a buyout and a bunch of cards that have been moving because of awesome new commanders we got from that set. So let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start right here with Demonic Pact from Magic Origins. Coming in at number 10 and up 76% to almost $5, Demonic Pact is a really interesting card. For 4 mana, we're getting an enchantment with 4 different modes on it. Now we have to choose one of these modes at the beginning of our upkeep, and of course we can't choose one that's already been chosen. There's 3 really beneficial modes in that we can choose Demonic Pact, deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 4 life. Or target opponent discards 2 cards, or you draw 2 cards, and then the big one is you lose the game. So there's a few new commanders that this is working really well with from Commander Legends, and the number 1 being Blim Comedic Genius. When Blim deals combat damage to a player, you give control of one of your permanents to that player. So ideally, we want to get all the beneficial effects from Demonic Pact and then just swing in with Blim and give Demonic Pact to someone where they'll have to make the choice to lose the game. This also works really well with something like, again, Arcanum Weaver, where you can simply sack an enchantment to return another enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield. So again, we would want to utilize the best effects from Demonic Pact and then simply sack it before we have to make the choice to lose the game. Our number 9 winner this week is also up 76%, and that would be Leech of Hollows from Weatherlight. This card is currently valued at $8.77. Now, it's got a few things going for it and a few reasons why the price is being driven on this card. Firstly, let's understand the card. For 4 mana, we're getting a 3/4 creature. Now, if Leech of Hollows would be put into any graveyard from play, each player may pay an amount of mana to put that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens into play. So why is the card moving this week? Well, number 1, it's on the reserve list. So obviously supplies on cards like this are definitely starting to dwindle. So anytime there's a new deck tech that involves a reserve list card, the prices dramatically increase because the supplies are so low and everybody wants it for their new deck. And it's working really well with a brand new commander from Commander Legends, and that would be Kamahl, Heart of Corrosa. Kamahl gives all your creatures +3/+3 and trample at the beginning of each of your combat steps. So of course, when Leech of Hollows dies, if we can generate a bunch of 1/1 green creature tokens in subsequent turns, those little squirrels turn into massive beaters. Coming in at number 8 and up 80% this week, we have Stitch in Time from Guilds of Ravnica Guild Kits, valued at $5.66. Of note, this is also printed in the Guild Pact, and that particular version is $6.25. This is on the move, of course, because of Karak the Thumbless. Most of the blue-red versions of that deck are built as coin flip decks, or at least decks that want to be able to copy spells, and Stitch in Time is a natural fit for that deck. You can flip a coin. If you win the flip, you take an extra turn after this one. Combine this with things like Karak's Thumb, which allow you to flip multiple coins and choose which one you want to keep. Stitch in Time can become very powerful. Alright, our number 7 winner is also up 80% this week, and that's Dance of Many, particularly the dark printing, valued at $9, and this is a really convoluted old style wording on a card. Essentially what happens is for 2 mana we get an enchantment. When it comes into play, we make a token that's a copy of a creature we control. If the token or Dance of Many leaves play, the other is also destroyed, and you have to pay 2 blue mana during your upkeep or Dance of Many is destroyed. This is of particular interest to the new Sakashima decks, where we're making a bunch of copies of stuff and the legend rule does not apply, so Dance of Many is a natural fit for that deck. Of note, if you're looking to pick up a Dance of Many, it has a couple of other printings that are much cheaper in the 5th edition and Chronicles printing. Coming in at number 6, we have a card that just keeps appearing on our list every single week, and that would be Aladimir's Vineyard from Tempest. It's valued at $17.50, and it's up another 95% this week. So a few things to note about this card. Of course, we've talked about this card over the last few weeks. Works really well in your lock of Scorch Thrash. But it is a rare from Tempest, so supplies on this card are obviously low considering it's never had a reprint. Now, it's not on the reserve list, so it could definitely be reprinted at any time, but as it stands today, the rare printing from Tempest is the only version you can get your hands on. Our number 5 winner is another one that just keeps appearing on our list, and that would be Last Chance. The starter 1999 version is up to $165, and this is up another 120% this week. We've talked at length of how well this works in Obeka, the End the Turn deck, so I'm not going to go into that, but more what I want to talk about is the portal printing is also at $95. Now this is not a reserve list card, folks, and if this holds anywhere near this value, I would expect a reprint on this card in the very near future. Our number 4 winner this week is definitely a printing specific spike. The Dual Decks Anthology printing of Elvish Promenade is valued at $9.50, and this is up 130% this week. It's had quite a few printings, a Dual Decks Elves vs Goblins printing, and then a Duels of the Planeswalker, and of course the original printing in Lorwyn, which of note is the cheapest of all of the printings. Now Elvish Promenade should be moving. It works well in a few new decks, notably the Abomination of Llanowar deck, where Abomination of Llanowar has power and toughness equal to the number of elves you control and the number of elves in your graveyard. So obviously something like Elvish Promenade slots really well into a deck like that. This card also hasn't had a printing in a little while, so organic demand is definitely driving the price on all of the other printings. But there's no reason why the Dual Decks Anthology version should be worth more than double all of the other printings, besides the fact that it would have been the lowest print supply. Our number 3 winner this week is another card that's been on our list several times, and it's also another card that's being driven by Obeka Brew Chronologist. Final Fortune is up another 139% this week to $46. This was a $2 card just a few weeks ago. It's had a couple of other printings, namely the 7th and 6th edition printing. Now this card is just strictly better than Last Chance. It's the exact same mana cost, provides the exact same effect, except it's an instant rather than a sorcery. The only reason why it is not higher priced than Last Chance is because it's had much more printing in much more popular sets. Getting your hands on Final Fortune is becoming more and more difficult. I completely sold out in my store this week. Now our number 2 winner is an interesting include for Yurlok of Scorched Trash, and that would be Tectonic Instability from Invasion. Valued at almost $10, this is up 232% this week. So of course Yurlok is the brand new commander that brings back mana burn, and this seems kind of counterintuitive in that whenever a land comes into play, tap all lands its controller controls. Now this isn't going to trigger Yurlok's mana burn ability, however, the idea behind Yurlok is you give your opponents a bunch of mana that they probably have a difficult time spending. Green mana, black mana, things like that. So Tectonic Ability essentially ensures that they don't have their own mana to spend, only mana of colors that you choose to give them, which probably doesn't play into their deck very well. An interesting take on Yurlok of Scorched Thrash. And our big winner this week, up 337% to $26, is Cedris, the Trader King from Shards of Alara, arguably the subject of a buyout this week. Now, a few things to keep in mind about Cedris, the Trader King. First of all, he was printed, and the only printing of him, in Shards of Alara, which is going back a fair ways now. Secondly, he was a mythic in that set, so it goes without saying that there is much lower supply of him as opposed to something like a rare. And he's a pretty much auto-include in one of the most popular new commanders from Commander Legends, Obeka Brew Chronologist. All of these things combine together in a perfect storm to make this card go from being a $3 card to a $26 card in just a couple of weeks. Alright, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate your continued support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I post at least 2 videos every week. And if you're looking for a way to support this channel, you can head on over to www.dragonhillgames.com, our online marketplace. You can also find a link for that in the description of this video. We just got a restock of Commander Legends draft boosters, and I put them up there for a really good price. So if you're in Canada and that's something that interests you, make sure you check it out. Alright, I want to kick things off this week by talking a little bit about Jeweled Lotus. Again, I'm still not really prepared to offer advice on this card. I really do want to see where it goes for a little while, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes on this card. I did a top 15 investment picks video from Commander Legends last week, so if that's something that interests you, I'll put it up in the top right corner. Go ahead and check that out. And in that video, I discussed my feelings on Jeweled Lotus a little bit. Now, I do want to mention in that video, I talked about I felt like the bottom on Jeweled Lotus was probably in the $50 to $60 range. And now after another week, I'm starting to think that maybe we've already seen the bottoms on this card. When I made the video, it was around $69, $70, something along those lines. And this week we're back up to $80. I checked over on eBay and there's only about 10 listings for Jeweled Lotus. Now, a couple of them are around $70, but it quickly goes up into the $80+ range. I do want to say over the weekend, Commander Legends sales in my store were much slower than they have been in the last couple of weeks. So people are seeming to be much less interested in buying packs to open, which means that there is definitely going to be less Jeweled Lotuses getting out there. However, if the price remains high, north of $80, it wouldn't surprise me if we get a lot of box breakers opening boxes and getting more of these onto the market. So I think this is the kind of card that's going to gradually start increasing in price, probably up to around the $100 mark, but I believe that it's going to be a slow and steady increase because as the price goes up more and more box breakers are going to open their boxes and get them onto the market. So just a little heads up and kind of a market watch on Jeweled Lotus this week. Alright, up first this week we have our value pick for the week, and that would be Dosan the Falling Leaf from Champions of Kamigawa. Now, this is not an investment choice. This is more like if you need a Dosan, you better get your hands on one now. This card's going to keep continuing to climb. I really like the graph on this card. It's just a slow and steady increase over the course of many years. So this definitely shows that this card has organic demand and organic interest. It slots well into a bunch of decks, but of course it's working really well, and all of the interest lately is because of Yurlok the Scorch Thrash. With the ability that players can only play spells during their own turn, it really helps power out Yurlok. Now, this is not a reserve list card, so I fully expect this to get reprinted at some point down the road, but that could be a little ways off. So if you want to get a Dosan for your own personal collection, you need it for a deck, you should get your hands on one now. He's going to continue to increase in price for the time being. Alright, up next we have Arena of the Ancients from Legends. Specifically the Legends printing here. This was printed in Chronicles. You can pick up a copy of that for under $1. So one of the most underrated cards and little known cards for Commander. Arena of the Ancients, when it comes into play, all Legends become tapped and they don't untap during their controller's untap step. So this is perfect for control type strategies where your commander doesn't really matter, or tapping your commander doesn't really matter. Picking up the Legends version for around $20 is a great deal. This card has been increasing slowly but steadily over the course of the last 6 months or so, and I think it's going to continue to go in that direction, especially with all of the Legends buyouts that are currently happening. Alright, and last but not least, we have Pure Steel Paladin, specifically the Double Masters printing. Currently valued at $4.75, and this is climbing up off of its all-time lows. It's going to continue to increase in price from here and move into parity with the new Phyrexia version, which is valued at around $8. So there's a lot of potential upside for this card. Now is the time to be picking it up while you can still get it for under $5. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.